Welcome to another video. This one is going to cover not my Camaro, but instead my 2000 Ford Explorer XLT 5.0 V8 all-wheel drive, and actually sits outside of my driveway. Here she is. It's been my project car on and off for about 10 years, with 3/4 of that time spent sitting in various driveways. It's actually plated for the first time in a few years. I actually towed it back down here to Texas from Tennessee when I moved down here a couple years ago, and it's not beautiful by any means, but it's been a pretty good car. It was my daily driver years and years ago, and I've done a lot of work over the years with this thing. And we'll go ahead and take a look real quick on the outside. It's some wonky gold color with the gray trim. As you can see here, I have some custom headlights that I put in. These were actually projector lights for halogen bulbs that I converted to running HIDs. So these do have HIDs that I custom installed into the halogen harnesses, but with projector lenses. And yeah, they work pretty good. I don't have a high beam. Switching to high beam actually puts out almost no light, and they do have LED rings and whatnot. I may end up doing a video of how I converted these to run HIDs and put everything together. It was all custom wiring and everything. But that's how it is right now. It has fog lights, nothing crazy. Some kind of Crager whatever wheels. Tires are kind of in mediocre condition from sitting for so long, and of course the center caps of my wheels look pretty rough as well. And the rear of the car, and as you can see here, actually installed a reverse camera, backup camera, which was a pain, and I may cover that as well. And the other side of the car, it's kind of a tight squeeze. I do have a number of vehicles here. I have an 84 El Camino SS that I'm restoring and repairing, my wife's 2019 EcoBoost Premium Mustang, and then the family car, an NV 3500 Nissan van, which is pretty much a Nissan Titan with a van body. And just recently I had redone the entire interior of this, the Xploder as I like to call it. So I actually ripped out all the seats, the console, flooring, everything down to the metal, and put in all new carpeting. I'll show some pictures up here somewhere, up here, wherever. A trick, if you do decide to do your own interior carpeting, I would recommend keeping your old carpet until you are done. I threw my carpet away because it was disgusting. Car had sat for a number of years, and then you get the new carpet in, and you're supposed to use the old carpet as a template when you make your cuts. Instead, I had to pretty much hand fit it and cut it in place and slowly just move it around. My steering wheel cruise controls have been crushed. I replaced these once, but of course they became brittle, I guess from sitting and unuse, and broke again, so it's another repair. I'll probably do a video on that. And my wiring up here for my lighting, it worked great for about 9 years. but Texas heat melted some of the silicone that I had holding everything in place, and so I'm gonna have to replace the LED lighting. So I had redone all wiring in here because the original board circuitry type material that was in here to hold all my lighting together became brittle and fell apart. I do have a aftermarket double din radio in here I picked up from Crutchfield. This does run to my backup camera and controls everything. Does pop up here on the radio. This whole grill area, this radio surround piece, I have a replacement for that. I'm going to put in, before too long, I'm going to put an overlay on it and replace this whole piece. It's kind of a mess. And if you look down here, I have just some double USB charger ports. This is for Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, and this will be for an air fuel gauge. It used to be in there, but it deteriorated after about 10 years, and now I have to buy a new one. And the center console, this is a custom center console here. It's got extra foam padding and is actually pretty comfortable. And it works pretty good. I actually just recently replaced this with a new console. I took the custom lid off of my old console and moved it to the new plastic console because it's literally thin, super thin and uncomfortable. Have some floor mats down here. They're not perfect custom fit, but they fit fairly well. And the seats are in pretty decent condition. I had to re-foam part of this bolster as it had fallen apart. You can take a look back here. You can see the carpeting definitely looks much nicer than what you would expect for a 21-year-old vehicle. Of course, my vents back here are kind of jacked up. I am on the lookout for some replacement vents. And I never put back the plastic little pieces, covers over some of the seat connections and whatnot, just because they just were kind of falling apart, and so I just went this way. But as you can see, it's in relatively decent condition for a car that's been on and off a project car for a while. And all new gas shocks all around, and still pretty decent condition. Not perfect by any means, and relatively ugly. Of course, you can see here the reverse camera setup. It actually goes, cut it right here on the license plate holder. I put a little notch in it and ran the wiring through there. Into the hatch. It then runs up, fished it down through here. Dropped a little notch into this piece right here, and then I drop it down into the headliner, and I put some protective covering for the wiring. I think it's 2 or 3 wires, I can't remember. And then of course I drop it down here, and then it does tee off back through here underneath this trim to the reverse, the rear tail light for power. And then it runs the video and whatnot up underneath the trim and works its way up, of course, to the radio. So if you do have your carpet out, I suggest running everything prior to installing the carpet. I actually did all this after I put the carpet back in, which made it take twice as long. A little more on the car if things have done, but all new KYB shocks. In the rear, all new calipers, all new suspension parts, Moog, everything pretty much. And you can't really see, it's kind of ugly over here. But get down in here, you can kind of see the caliper. It's aftermarket calipers. They're powder coated red with some cheap powder coat. Brakes are kind of a little bit beat up, pitted a little bit from sitting for so long, but they still work quite well overall. And yeah, I had this whole thing taken apart on jack stands for probably a year as I slowly worked on everything. Go ahead and take a look at the motor area here. There we go. And here we go for the motor. So I can put the lighting on here. But yeah, it's got a, I believe it's still a Lightning MAF, 90mm. It's got an AMSOIL air filter, part of a Mack cold air intake. I had painted the intake manifold. It's got, I believe, a 1-inch spacer in there. Got to see back down there, it has Torque Monster headers. I'm not sure if he still puts these out. A full EGR delete. Yeah, it's got a, you can see down here a little bit, a Meziere electric water pump. So notice it is not a standard water pump. It is electric with just a tensioner type free pulley that kind of just spins around the housing. It doesn't actually spin the water pump itself. Yeah, so we have that. And I also have removed the standard fan, and I'm running a dual contour electric fan setup. That I actually molded into the original fan shroud. So that's dual electric fans into the original Xploder fan shroud, and they actually kind of float off of the radiator. And then I have some Lexan plastic type pieces I cut and put in between the gaps to help redirect airflow through the fans. This is all running off of this Pulthwitch modulated, I believe it's a Delta fan controller. You can see right here. Kind of a mess for wiring. It's not the prettiest thing ever. I try to clean up a little bit with some wiring shroud and whatnot. And then if you look down here, you can see the ballast for the HIDs here and over there. And I figured we can go ahead and jump in the car real quick, start it up. And of course, this is no longer a daily driver. It's kind of a, if it's raining real bad and I don't want to take my the Wangzilla out, I'll take this or my van. Take a look, see if she starts up. I have the lovely belt squeal. Hopefully I'll get that issue resolved. It's typically I have to replace a tensioner pulley or one of the other pulleys off the serpentine belt. I replaced them, I think, twice now, and it fixes everything for about a year and then it comes back. So it's on my mini pile list of to-do items for this car. All right, and here's the radio. Nothing super fancy. It's a Boss. I picked it up from Crutchfield. It's got the hands-free Bluetooth. I can play music through Bluetooth. It's got the hardwired for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. It's not wireless. I'm not quite that fancy. Buttons need to be redone here. Like I said, I'm replacing this whole piece, including the fans here shortly. And yeah, you can take a look here. If I go ahead and say put it into reverse, you have the backup camera. It doesn't really show up very good on here. Way back into park. And yeah, so that's everything regarding the interior. As you can say, it's in pretty decent condition. Don't worry, this will be out of here pretty soon. It's kind of it's pretty ugly, and it's already falling off the dash. And yeah, so we'll hop back out, take a look back at the exhaust. But I do have a cold and warm start video you can take a look at later. And I've tracked this entire build process start to finish on the Xploder forums. Here's everything running. So yeah, that's pretty much the quick overview of the 2004 Explorer, the Xploder. Hopefully I'll be getting a lot more videos on this. A lot more videos on my 84 SS El Camino that I'm going to be repairing, fixing up, hopefully getting repainted, a bunch of other things. Doing some videos on my wife's EcoBoost Premium Mustang. And maybe even some repair video type stuff on and maintenance on my 2019 Indy 3500. So until next time, peace.